Good morning. You know, it's Friday. This is the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life channel. You're on the Coffee Break Show. Today's Friday. I'm Vickie Helm, and every Friday I get my compadre to come in with me. This is Scott Stevens, and you are on the Metadime Digital Network. Thank you for being with us. Hey, Scott, how you doing?
I'm good. Glad to see you came over here. Shook me out of bed early. You're like, let's do this. Let's do this. What do we want to talk about? What's the topic?
Today, we are going to talk about one of my favorite things. I'm like, show me the money. Today, we are going to show you the money, the future of money. We're going to be talking about money. That's right. So it's one of the things that everybody has to deal with. It's one of the things that everybody has to go with. And so here's the thing. If you're new to the Coffee Break Show, we go live Monday through Friday. We share tips, tools, techniques, and information, motivation, and inspiration, everything that's going to help you create thrivability in this post-pandemic world. We share experts, and once a week, me and Scott get on Fridays, and we have some fun. The conversation today is going to go in two parts. I want to share, because I've been asked, so many people have asked me in the instant message. I'm going to share my background and I'm going to share Scott's background so you know a little bit about us and a little bit about, who we are. You know what I mean?
You're right, fluids, because this is going to be a long one. There's a lot to talk about right here in this tenuous time in the financial world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is.
We're on the cusp. Whether you recognize it or not, we know we're on the cusp, and I promise you, the central banks also know we are on the cusp.
They do know. In fact, I just want to say hi to a couple of people. Hey, thanks to see you on. Hey. It's the weekly wrap up with Vickie and Scott. Yes. Good morning. I thank you. It's great to see you both. Thank you. Nice to be here. I want to start and begin with the truth here about money. Most people don't understand what money is in a real sense. They don't even understand what money is. And because of that, they don't actually get money that grows in value. They get money that decreases in value. And year over year, they save that, hoping that it's going to grow some more instead of decrease some more. And the first understanding of what money is the most important thing. Wouldn't you agree?
I think it's a subtle difference, but then not really. Once you recognize and understand it, it's the difference between money and currency.
That's right.
That's the key. If you can separate the two and their functions, one is a medium of exchange, the other has an inherent store of value.
Now, I want you to go over that again and speak a little louder, because I think this is one of the most important keys you can get when you're talking about money.
Is it
just say that again?
Yeah, currency is something that we exchange. We expect a dollar to always be a dollar, and it'll always be a dollar. But will that dollar always buy a dollar's worth of goods? So a dollar's worth of goods in 1950 is very different than a dollar's worth of goods today, or even 1913 when the Federal Reserve took over, managed, hijacked, whatever term you want to use, the value of a dollar. So a dollar was in a century ago 1/20th the value of an ounce of gold, and that is nowhere close. So if a dollar was worth 1/20th of an ounce of gold, a dollar would be worth $100 today. So we've seen that kind of loss of value in our currency, as the currency has simply just become a note of the debt of the nation rather than tied to something of inherent value. That is a huge difference that is not understood by many people. Otherwise, they would immediately take their currency and convert it into something of value.
Yes. And I want to talk about this here. Robin just said something so important.
92.
I think that most people don't understand money. I remember turning 40 and thinking, I'm working hard, saving money, but at this rate, I will not retire until I'm 92. Now, the thing that's here about what we're talking about money is that money is going through one of the biggest transitions in history. And the reason it is because for the very first time outside of gold and silver, which they term God's money, it's the original money. It's the only money on the planet that was global money
Yeah.
until a new thing called Bitcoin and digital currencies. Bitcoin and digital currencies, everybody is, those will never be anything. They're coming. They're going to be, right now, banks are investing in them. In fact, the government just gave permission for banks to hold them as asset value. Yes?
As a custodian. And
Yeah.
that did not exist before. It was Bitcoin is stayed over there. We will tolerate it, but now we're to the point where it has to be embraced, because if it's to remain or become God's money, meaning it demands integrity, it demands accountability and honesty, and gold and Bitcoin ultimately will be seen as the chaperones. And when the chaperones get irritated with what is happening within the system, they're going to raise their red flag and call people out. And we're seeing that now with the price of these objects, of these stores of value. Where's gold? Almost $2,100 today. It's close. It's close. You could round it up to $2,100, with silver just under $30. And once the futures markets open, probably by Monday morning, we may be across those things, because we've got the president on the verge of signing another executive order.
That's right.
That will allow more fiat to come into existence, into the marketplace, and ultimately, with expansion of the money supply, it's more money chasing value. And we want to hold those things of value. And this is the core of all your work, Vickie, isn't it?
That's true. It is absolutely the core of the work. First off, I want to say good morning and hello, Steve, and thank you for being here. I want to just pop over here. This is interesting. My father made $7,000 a year when he retired and survived. I made six figures and I'm surviving. Always appreciate money making money, but yet it depends on what we do with money. That's correct. I can't hold on to it, so I put it back to use to help others. This is what's interesting. Originally, before 1913, before the invention of the Fed, when dollars were backed by gold, and we had dollars that were backed by gold, money appreciated because it appreciated with the value. Once we got off the standard and we created fiat currencies, we have fiat currencies that are just everywhere around the world. The whole world is drowning in fake money. And we are the number one thing you want to know is that people are forced to use this money. We don't have a choice. If you said right now, if you said to yourself, you could get paid in gold, you could get paid in silvers, or you could get paid in dollars, would you take dollars over gold and silver?
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't.
It decreases in value. If you could get paid and say to your employer, I put in a 40-hour work week and I'd like to be paid in gold, imagine what would happen with that. Imagine how much wealthier you would be right now if you were paid in gold or silver.
What we'd have to do is then expand or increase the value of gold to then fold in all of the fiat that's in place. And that would be the challenge. So all of a sudden, gold would go from $2,000 to probably close to $500,000, $1 million per ounce to absorb the 70+ trillion. And I'm just pulling that number out because I've seen it recently. I don't know how close it is. So it would have to get that large. And there's a quote that I wanted to bring up, Vic. So this came from Mayor Amschel Rothschild. And he said, "Let me issue and control a nation's money, and I care not who makes the laws."
Do you hear that? Say that again. That was powerful, and it's important because this is where we are.
Let me issue and control a nation's money, and I care not who makes the laws. So what that tells us is that it doesn't matter who's in office, which side of the aisle is, we're on top. No. There is this cadre, this cabal, these families of bankers that control the money. And if you
Hmm.
control the money, and as I think it was Woodrow Wilson said, that there is this silent conspiracy that has and knows all things, whether it's railroads, whether it's oil, whether it's trade, whether it's banking, that cabal exists. And as
Yeah.
long as they control the money, and this for us, Vickie, is why we are such fans of gold, silver, and now digital
But
currencies,
yep.
because it takes the control of the issuance of that money from these centuries long controllers.
Yeah.
That excites
It's
me.
taking our power back, is what it is. Stephen, I take gold. That's right, buddy. But I also appreciate being paid with a hug and love. Oh, okay. There you
With
go.
a side
Thank
of ice
you.
cream.
A side of ice cream. That's right. Because ice cream saves marriages. I like this. Mary Amschel Rothschild,
Yep.
permit me to issue and control the money of a nation, and I cannot care who makes its laws. Yes, that's the issue right now. And that's what's going down. This is the thing that is crashing. I want to let you know, I think it was yesterday, I just read where banks are tightening credit every single day. They're tightening it, tightening it, tightening it, tightening it,
Reducing their
tightening it.
risk.
They are absolutely discharging their risk.
Yep.
And so at this point in time, those are signs. When you follow the little trickle of signs, the next asset, the only other asset I think is worthy would be commodities. I think for me, it's gold, silver, Bitcoin, and commodities. These are the things that I feel are strong enough to weather what's coming over the next decade.
And this is what those issuers of money, have been doing, running the business cycle, running people, families, corporations into bankruptcy. And because they have access to that printing press, to the issuance of money, they can then come up with this magical fiat money and come into bankrupt situations and buy that 1,000-acre farm, buy those water rights, buy that company that is for no other reason other than the bankers got it into debt, and now they can't service the debt. So the bankers come in with this magical money and then buy up the company, which is a cash flow beast. So this is the game that has been rigged. And when you have trillions of dollars behind you, you can buy those hard assets that survive business cycles.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we have to do to protect our own island, our own sovereignty, is to have access to those hard assets. It's one thing I've learned with the last Bitcoin push up, is that when you convert that into hard assets, through fiat into hard assets, that's what survives. That's what you still have at the end of the day.
And that's the thing that's happening right now. It's like, if you take a look at money is the fiat money, the currency right now. That's the thing that's dying an ugly death. There is a currency war. We talked about it on this show. They're devaluing the currency on purpose. They're not going to stop devaluing.
It's intentional.
Because there's so much debt. No matter where you go, there's so much debt, and there's so much repair that has to be done. I want to talk about this. It's a big thing right here. Fortunately, I had a job that over 50,000 people applied for. It was a job in manufacturing industry, best healthcare, best 401k, all levels of education competent for these jobs. Those jobs are disappearing quickly. That's correct. All of it's being moved to tech. They're disappearing quickly, being replaced by automation. Where will people work? Even as manufacturing is returning, it will be automated. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about, where will people work? Because we want to earn money, right? So the money we want to earn has to be online, and it would be good for us if we stop becoming workers and we became entrepreneurs or investors. You know, I got to tell you, that cash flow quadrant right away, Robert Kiyosaki, he said it best. You can be unemployed, you can be employed, self-employed, business owner, investor. You want to get to this side, business owner, investor. You want to do that now. That's the future. Jobs are going to be slow. There's going to be barely any of them.
And in that project that we've got coming out, Vickie, you talk about investors. And people don't necessarily think they have it, if you're broke, something to invest. But that one thing you do have and will always have is your time.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with your time? How is that invested, and how does that return value outside of currency to you? And that's kind of the dilemma that we're all in, is this economy is kind of turned into a quicksand situation where you believed you were working for a solid company, an IBM, a General Electric, a Lord and Taylor, a Macy's, but they've got
Yeah, and Lord and
so
Taylor
much
just went bankrupt.
150 plus years
Gone.
and gone.
Yeah.
So the only people that have jobs left with that are the liquidators and the lawyers.
Yeah.
Maybe a few accountants, but that's going to be a short-term thing. So there's how do you turn those skills that you have used previously in a 9 to 5 situation into something that can sustain you through what is obstinately a true unknown, because we don't know. This is 2020, for goodness sakes. That which could never happen is happening on a daily basis.
I want to talk about this right here. Fiat money controls the economy. Yes, MJ, you are absolutely right. This is the transition that's happening right now. Fiat money controls the economy. There's another economy happening and growing where the people who control the economy are suddenly investing in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big thing. It's like, this is the, when Microsoft was in a garage time, when Microsoft was in the garage and there are other investments, it's like when we pull assets, there's only two ways to get assets. You either make them or you buy them. And the future depends on you knowing how to make them, sell them, buy them, trade for them. Everything is about assets and cash flow at that point. When we take a look at everything that's coming, the wave of everything that's coming, the fiat money will control the economy, the one that's crashing. The new economy that's growing, it won't hurt or touch. And we are at the very beginning of this transformation. And I think it'll probably take really a full generation before we see it fully implemented into a regular form of life. Mm-hmm. I know before China had the China flu and the floods that they just had, they had implemented it. They had their phone had to be registered and they had to go and buy everything. They just had to hold it up to the QR code and the transaction happened. That digital banking, this fintech that is coming into our lives right now, all of this fintech is going to make currency obsolete. And at some point right now, when people bring out, like Facebook brings out Libra and Amazon brings out Amazon's digital coin, it is going to disrupt money that we know, fiat money, in a big way. Fiat money is going to be,
digitized.
Yeah.
And then taken out of the issuance. So you can't have, this unholy relationship between the Fed and the Treasury. That'll break. And I think they wanted it to, because it was a system that was so open to and for corruption. There's a part of it that is old, like nearly 100 years old, the topic of bearer bonds that were in denominations that are literally astronomical, billions of dollars of bearer bonds that are just beautiful Federal Reserve issuances. So when the Fed came into existence, it's almost as if there was, by design, two monetary systems. There was the public one, and then there was the other, but both denominated into dollars. And the underlying system seemed to have been an order or two of magnitude larger, to where these bearer bonds were hundreds of millions of dollars, whereas up here we were buying bread for pennies. So, it's like the families had this money that was, would come into this system from their old sources. But that's a whole nother story and a whole nother, I don't know if it's conspiracy theory, since we've got it and have it going. But it also is kind of a big red flag, so that inflation shows up here. And you just wonder, how do these people get so bloody rich? And it can only happen with a printing press. Only. Otherwise, you've got to work for it like we're being asked to do.
Yeah.
And
I think the future, I want to stop by this because Stephen said something back to Gifford that I thought was pretty cool. Donald Gifford, where will people be able to earn a good living with great benefits? Most people live paycheck to paycheck right now and have never been taught how to invest. And this is a big thing. I know that MJ teaches people how to invest. She schools people all the time on, investments and learning about finance and learning about money. And that's a big deal right there. They don't teach that in schools. Nobody's learned that. It's very hard to get a really good education in school about anything financial. Stephen Uselak, not many people, just jobs like this left. Yes, you're absolutely right. Not many people. I like this. I chose to quit and take the hit and move my investments into myself, a business, projects, futurist investments. People still have time to move into these investments. Haste makes waste, carpe diem. That's right. This is the big time. This is why we're talking about it now. Now. It's like,
Steve
what
really
did you
has a
say?
point.
What did you just say? What did you just say in your show? Another perspective. People who invest in the
Oh
future.
yeah. Yeah, people, do get the greatest returns, but those that buy the past fail.
That's right.
And
That's what this is
yeah,
right here.
yeah, we're on a cusp of that change, and we can see the chaos, we can see the uncertainty, we can see that the old economy has literally had the rug pulled out from underneath it,
Mm-hmm.
and people are scrambling. If you've got 50 million unemployed, despite an improvement in that number this week, there's something wrong. There is a sea change. And as Steven said, they don't know how to invest because that responsibility was given back to the company via stock options, via 401k programs. They haven't had to manage their own futures. And it's incredibly empowering to open up your own accounts, to take a hit outside of what you're already putting into the company's plan, to take extra money out and to do that investing on your own and educate yourself. And I honestly can't imagine leaving it up to a corporate 401k plan. It's like
I
not
think
being
they're
able
going to
to.
disintegrate because 401k plans invest in companies that are, I mean, just the airline industry going down smack to every 401k
Yeah.
that is,
Oh my goodness.
in travel, in there, and transportation and travel. I mean, it's knocking it around. But here's the thing that I learned from my dad. Now, my dad made his money illegally, which you guys know. And so when he made his money illegally, he used to tell me one thing. And this is the thing. He said, always leave your investments with you. If you don't know about it, if somebody's trying to get you into a mutual fund or blah blah blah, he was like, make your assets thing about you. You control your wealth, you control your money. Don't let somebody else do that. And I thought, well, that's very interesting. I'm really happy he said that, because to me, that's all I've done is bought assets. And I realize you either have two choices. This is it. You either buy debt or you buy assets. That's it.
Yep.
Every time you take your paycheck and you put it in the bank and you use your credit card, you are buying debt. You're buying debt. And if you get a loan, you're buying debt. You either purchase debt or assets. And I have found that when you hit a certain level of wealth, and I mean multi millions, then buying debt at 0% to advance your company or whatever else, I think that's a smart idea. But to buy debt to go to Disneyland doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to do that kind of purchasing of that debt.
And we've done a lot. We've got a society now that does celebrate debt. And we
Mm-hmm.
use that debt that costs us money to buy depreciating assets, like a car. You drive it off the lot, and 10% of it is gone. It's gone, and you still have that full debt. You're still responsible for the interest on that. And it's just the whole system. And Vickie, I can't tell you how excited I am in a way to see it break. I know it'll be painful, but the next generation and the one after that will have a
Yes.
much healthier system and a way to build a society that is sustainable. There's so many changes. Oil is going to change. Environment's going to change. Food's going to change. There is such a period of chaos that, granted, we've got
It's
to go
huge.
through, but
Yeah.
there is a safe harbor on the other side of this that excites me to no end.
Yeah.
That we can leave the next generation and the one after that something so much better than was left in our hands. And
Yes.
it's not going to be easy, but it'll be very exciting to see come to fruition. And it'll take a massive change in leadership. And I think this is, in a way, the beauty of the chaos that we have right now is because the powers that be are, kind of dancing around the chaos that's in the White House. That isn't all bad, because then they don't know how to play their plan. So, it all serves if we can look at it from the back end. But I do know, give us a decade,
Yeah,
2
I think we're going to
decades.
see governments go down, just like
Absolutely.
Russia did,
Yep.
but just like we're going to be, down.
And if this government, the United States government, is truly a corporation, and it became a corporation and not a government in 1871, it can go bankrupt. And if that bankruptcy happens, then that whole structure around it can be completely thrown away, and we can go
Dismantled.
back to the beginning, go back to those original founding documents, that back to how Congress had control of issuance of money. We can go back to that. So I think there's opportunity in what's happening, because the deeper we go into debt, the sooner this change will happen. It excites
You're
me.
just waiting.
I am just waiting, yes. But we have to have a way, a lifeboat, a life vest to get across these turbulent waters, because they're here.
Yeah,
that's
and
why
you
we're
have
talking
to
about
have a
this today.
plan. You
gotta
have to have a
plan.
person, you have a plan. MJ says this government is printing so much money right now. This fiat money can easily result in hyperinflation. Too, I think we're going to see both. I think we're going to see deflation at first and then hyperinflation.
Yep.
The next virus is hyperinflation. And I'm going to agree that would be a virus. That would really suck. Oh my gosh, you guys have been saying a lot and so fast. Thank you. I like this. We're pragmatic. They do not argue with logic. Sometimes I do, but I try not to. It's
not for
arguing
too
with
long,
what is, not
because
for
then
too
rational
long.
will come back in and say, "Oh, I saw it right the first time. I can't talk myself out of this."
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, and I like this, the Corp 401k plan. What a joke. Usually all employees go in a room and ask one person who knows about investigating, and then the gang invests in the same thing. I've seen it over and over. Yes, they don't teach you about
Responsibility.
investing. The future is in food, energy, and health. I agree with that. Food, energy, and health, and money.
That isn't
There's going to be
monetized.
this change in money, and the change in money and the value of the money right now is very, very, and I agree with this right here. Risa says we don't use credit cards. I don't either. I use, no, I do have a credit card actually. I use it for flights and things like that, or anything business related goes on the credit card. And then we pop it in, for payment every month. Robin, so true. Financial impact to a family or a country will make it or break it. Yes, Stephen Uselak. It's such an unknown now. If I could rewind, I would have also listened to myself and bought a self-sustaining farm, gone back to my family's roots. There's still time for that, buddy. It's coming up. I just want to let you know. But that is the thing I would do too. Looking at investing in farms right now that's a big one. That's commodities. You're investing in the future of food.
Food security. That's going to be.
If we cannot pay cash, we don't do. And here's the thing, that's coming back to Middle America. There's a couple things I want to talk about, just so you know. Scott has been a journalist, an investigative journalist for, over 30 years now. And he is also in economics for probably longer than that. Since he was a little boy, these things fascinated him, and me too. I've worked in the industry. I have 10 years with Citigroup as a financial analyst. I had a 26 and a 63 investment license. I did hard assets for, I don't know. I've never stopped doing hard assets. I really love them. I've done that for a long time. I've done both sides of the investment things. I've sold them and everything else, anything mortgage related, anything financial services related. I have boatloads of experience there. We're both futurists. We both have a keen eye. And, Scott and I have been friends for many years. And one of the things we meet on is economic talks. We love talking about that. And Scott is here because he used to work for affiliates of ABC, NBC, and CBS. He's been on radio shows everywhere around the world, a regular featured guest on like Coast to Coast. He's also starred in the documentary, Why in the World Are They Spraying? He was a featured expert on that as well. And what we did when we came together to create this research is to help people understand what's going to be happening in the future before it happens. So we give people notice. This is what's going to happen. We have a book that we are going to be deploying pretty soon. It'll be like my 41st book, but I have co-written it with him because our expertises match in this area. And we want to help everyone get to the point where they understand what's going to happen in the future. So I remember being in college in the 1980s. And when I was in college, I was the first group of accountants that graduated, and they had to graduate knowing how to do accounting by hand and accounting on the computer. And at first I was really PO'd because I was like, I had to take 2 finals. I had to take and do an entire corporation on paper, then do it on the computer. And I felt kind of, angry, but I realized that's the world we live in. We live in this world that is moving from this to this all the time. We're moving from computers to now we have algorithms and we have software that is and apps. We're moving and constantly moving forward with how these things are. And our money and our governments are going to go through that. Our money and our governments are going to go through the same change of going from paper to computer. Our governments are going to go from, countries to computer. It's going to happen. We're going to see states go bankrupt, provinces go bankrupt. We're going to see countries go bankrupt. We're going to see these things as they transform. Yep. The reason they're going to go bankrupt is because they have debt with fake money. And those two things, no matter how you slice them, are never going to work. And so I want to say, Scott and I are going to continue to bring this to you. Say what you need to say, bro.
I was just going to say it's debt with fake money, but requires real assets to pay off the fake money. Look at Lebanon.
Yes.
And that explosion in Beirut this week, that devastating explosion, that nation already deep in corruption and so deep in debt that it's unsustainable. And then in an instant, the nation, the capital, the housing structure, the infrastructure, the only real port in and out of that country, destroyed. The food stocks, the granary sitting right there, destroyed. Gone. So where's the food supply? And so in a moment, that whole region has completely been thrown over end. And this is how unsustainable things that are. So, you're okay. We've got problems. And then boom, literally boom. And what do? And we're in chaos. We're in despair. Where do we go? There isn't help. So the IMF comes in with more fake debt money, and because that's what the system runs on. So what we really need are nations to take care or take their own sovereignty back. And this has been the blessing for Americans, but the curse of the world of having the dollar as the reserve currency is that everything has been traded in dollars rather than these nations, either by the strength of their economy and their integrity and their national resources, having their own currency to be able to trade with outside sovereignties. It's a system that can no longer sustain and support the world in a way that's moral. It's just not moral.
And this is the point right here, because I think you make a strong point. There are no experts anymore. There's no money experts. There's no advisors that are going to know their way through this. We've never been here.
Nobody. And we've got these high-paid experts sitting in high-rises in New York City, in London, in Dubai, wherever they are. We're as informed in many ways as they are. But more. We're not bound by their structures. I read a story yesterday and today about two different arms of Goldman Sachs. One saying, don't buy gold because we don't see a currency problem. And the other saying, there's nothing else to buy but gold.
Yeah.
So you've got this vampire squid sitting
Hmm.
in the Goldman Sachs office that still doesn't know what's going on. And they call their clients Muppets, because we run over them and they keep coming back. They're suckers. They're suckers.
Yeah, and
Again,
what this is the point that MJ makes, and what do most people do? They use debt for the wrong purposes. That's correct. They do. They do. They use debt for the wrong purposes,
yeah.
and it's a vicious cycle. Borrowing on debt for a depreciating asset or liability. That is just absolutely what we keep happening. We don't know how to be good with our monies. Hey, Lisa, nice to see you on. You guys are just talking so fast. Um,
Currency, store of
mhm.
value. Understand the difference.
Yes, currency, store of value. MJ, it's amazing how people are quicker to go into debt for wants versus needs. Yes, bam, it's a debt cycle. Yes, let's see. Don't know. Let's see. Oh my God. You were with City also. Oh, girlfriend. Now I see that. I see the commonality because you and I talked the other day and you're like, I was in that market too. Yeah. I was a financial analyst for them for 10 years in the 90s when I was in my younger years,
That
and
boom.
did a lot in uh, I did it in two increments because I spent some time as a police officer in there as well. But then I realized the hard assets, and I got to admit, I had a great education there. I want to talk about this. We may look forward to the change, but are you strong enough to move through this? People have no idea what the chaos will be, and most people are not prepared for these massive changes. Right now, we're talking about economic uncertainty, hunger, weather changes. There's presently stability and just barely. What does no stability look like? Hungry, cold people. How will we all behave? This is so important.
Because
Look at this.
we will
This is
not
really
be on
good.
we will not
Scott,
be on our best behavior.
Scott, you have an awesome radio voice
There
and you're
are
pretty.
there are moments.
He's quite handsome and he's got a good radio voice. There are moments. Yeah, he's been on air every day for like 30 years. And he's on air now again every day about, yeah, just about every
Just
day.
yeah. Except for the
Let's see.
weekends, and even then, when we have a little storm, let's show up. Let's do a little Facebook thing in Majigger.
I didn't see this, but yes, Scott, the co-hosts and friends, thank you. I greatly respect your heart's knowledge, wisdom, and futurist abilities. We are abundantly blessed to have both of them on the Metadime team. That's right, you are. I'm just saying. I agree with those statements. And you know what's interesting, Scott? This isn't my first business with Scott. Scott, this is like business number 2 or 3 or something like that. I don't know. But this is one where I think the working together has always been super fun. I love being on shows with you, but mostly I love how
Come over.
clear
How you
research we do.
how you come over for ice cream afterwards.
Yeah, I like that too. And he sends me economic data, and I send him economic data every single day. We are watching every single day, and I just want to let you know that it when we start these Fridays, when we're coming up, we are working so hard because the thing is, it's the post-pandemic world that is going to be tougher. The pandemic here right now, they're throwing money at it. And that money devalues the money even more that we have, that if you get that money, if you can turn anything, even just everybody can afford silver. Everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Silver is even cheap for right now. And they say it's going to go up. I've seen estimates of $100. Silver, inexpensive.
Just dimes.
Take $10, take $20.
But
go buy some silver. Silver is going to be really good to have. They make it sound like investing is only for the wealthy. No. Investing is for everyone, and investing can be done by anyone.
And for Bitcoin, you can buy it in these small increments. You can buy it in $50 increments. When I started in 2015, that's how I did it. It was dollar cost averaging, but
Yeah,
you do it like your life depends on it. And in a way
right.
it does, because it is outside the system. It is, I don't want to say immune from inflation, but it is a direct barometer of fiat currency inflation. And where are people going to go if we're truly in a pandemic society for who knows how many months, years into the future? You want to have a tool that you can use from the phone, that you can use from the computer, that you don't have to rely on that bank branch being there to be able to move your money, to be able to meet your obligations, to be able to invest in your future. And Bitcoin does all of that and more. Besides being
Yeah.
able to send money to mom, who didn't get in on this because she didn't listen to you until it was too late. So it's an incredible, incredible tool that you all, I wouldn't know where I'd be without it at this point. I'd be
I want to
lost.
let you know, I probably should have brought MJ on the show today, but MJ, the proverbial investment book, needed to be rewritten since the advent of hedge funds. I agree with that. The
Yeah.
situation got aggravated with the toxic assets fiasco that's still going on, even though it started in 2008, and it has been downhill ever since. That's correct. And what she's talking about is the QE that has been propping up the market is that the Federal Reserve has been buying all these toxic assets, these mortgage-backed security pieces off of the market, just buying and trillions of dollars, just heaps of them. And this has made a fake market. And
Yeah.
this is what she's saying. This needs to be rewritten again. The hedge funds things, yes, I totally agree with you. This woman knows what she's talking
Well,
about right
it
there.
would be like the Federal Reserve coming up and say, "Hey, Scott, I know you've got 4 credit cards. You've lost your job, so we'll just buy them from you. We
Yeah,
won't even buy them from you. We'll just offload that debit, that liability against your income. We'll just take it from you."
that's right.
And
Did you hear that? You guys say that again.
if some point in the future you can pay it back, that's great. But otherwise, eventually it'll just get discharged as bad debt, or we'll make the taxpayer pay for it. So that's literally where we are. Is the Fed
Yep.
is taking your bad debt. And if you've not been able to pay Citibank for that credit card, for that $40,000 credit line, the Fed said, "Oh, don't worry." And so what does that do to the true risk, which is indicated by an interest rate? And trust me, the federal government is getting or borrowing their money at 2% from an entity that is obstinately, potentially illegal, and then turning around and lending that money to you at 20, 24%, 28%, depending on your credit risk. And that arbitrage is where they're making their money. Vickie, it's got to break. It's breaking.
It's going
It's
to.
breaking.
It's going to crash.
We need a
It's
little
going
out of the
down.
system. We need
I
to
want
get
to
out of the
talk
system.
about, I want to pop over here with Lisa for a second. You are starting to see a few more and more MSM or Microsoft articles
Mainstream
about
media.
impending money and food crisis, but it doesn't seem like too many people are paying attention. You're right. They're not. They think things are going to go back to normal. So many people are living in their heads and in the sand these days. I think many just don't know how to process everything. Let's face it, it's a lot to process. That is the thing right there. What people tend to do, and Lisa, thank you for bringing this up. What people tend to do is avoid or not look at, or I don't see it. It's too scary, too terrifying,
I've done it.
and they're overwhelmed.
I've done it.
Yeah, me too. And the thing
Yeah.
is, you're right. People don't want to, they'd rather hear about COVID, anything about, except how their security, how their safety might be disrupted in a bit. Lisa, this is really a good point. She's saying you'll see a few more articles, most impending money about impending money and food crises, but it doesn't seem like too many people are paying attention. So many people are living with their heads in the sand these days. I think many just don't know how to process everything. Let's face it, it's a lot to process.
There's a truth in
You're
that.
absolutely correct. I mean, what is it? They said 35 million people, 35% of the people didn't make their mortgage payment this month.
Well,
If we look at that 35%, that means 65 did. There's big numbers.
And Congress wants to float a not quite $600 billion bill for commercial mortgages so that the Fed can take on that debt as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the thing is about this is all about accepting responsibility for your own future. That's really what it boils down to.
Self-reliance is going to be key in the future.
That's what it is. And when we've given so much power away, month after month, year after year, that those folks in suits walking around those hallowed halls of D.C. will take care of it for me. And if I just complain about it, they'll do something for me.
Yeah,
and ultimately, if you complain about the ship sinking, but don't go to the top, to the deck to see what to do for yourself, there's no other place to go but down and under.
Yeah, where are you going?
You've got to do it. And if you don't, then we're left in a panic situation with millions and millions of others in the same boat. And then what's left? What's left? The silver will be gone, the gold will be gone, and all you're left doing is buying a fraction of a Bitcoin when in this economy you can buy it ahead of time to where it becomes a generational resource.
That's right. It's going to happen. That's the way money is going. Let's see. You make several really good points here. People are overwhelmed, probably have already gotten bored with the topic because they don't understand it. And the explosion of that diametrically opposed information leads people to be apathetic, waiting for something to lead them. Yep. Yeah, that's unfortunate. And let me tell you, you're going to sink or swim based on your actions, not the actions of the government. You're going to sink or swim based on your actions, not the actions of the government. The actions of the government have proven that over time, it's going to collapse and sink because money is, they have nothing real.
Ultimately, they do more harm than good. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, because there are decisions that could have been made. How far do you want to go back?
Yeah, really.
Really, how far? I mean, COVID aside, how far do we want to go back? And it was just leaving sound money was the key. But then that was ultimately the desire of the banker family. Give me control of your money, and I care not who makes the laws.
Let me pop over here with Donnie because he's got having the simple ability to have and grow a garden, to can your food, abilities that were common and fading are now returning. These are solid, tangible assets, just as silver is. You got that right. But the difference is you can eat your garden and canned food. Seeds, silver, gold, and cryptos are what I choose to do. And most importantly, my daily spiritual practice to remain calm and collected as we cross the bridge. I agree with that. This is so beautiful. This is a good part right there. That is a very, very good thing. Let's see right now, 30%, 4.3 million people did not make their mortgage payment in June. That's a lot. Yes, self-reliance is the key to the future. We need to be accountable for our own situations. Yes, that's correct. Wow, when I had to collect mortgage payments for Citi when I was a finance company manager, my goal was 0.1%. Of course, there really was nothing realistic about the goal, and they cooked the books regularly. Yes, we know they did that, didn't we? So the thing is, in that scenario, when we take a look at how many mortgages aren't being paid, we know that there's an issue. I love this. Bring back the gold standard. Wishful thinking. It may be impossible. You got that right. I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't know why, but at this point, because there's, 25 trillion or something. I don't think there's enough gold in the earth right now to mine, to pay for the trillions and trillions of dollars of debt on the planet. But you're right. It is good wishful thinking. And I wish they could bring that back, that gold standard. I've heard whispers that President Trump wanted to bring back the gold standard. I don't know if he's going to attempt to do that, but I will tell you, there's an asset base that has been growing. And I'm telling you the four things I think are hot. Donnie said with he's got seeds. I think seeds are a good buy if they're heirloom organic seeds. Heirloom organic seeds, those are going to grow in value really strongly. Commodities, big investments there. Commodities are going to be a good gain. And in anything that's original money, gold, silver, and also everything is going digital, whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not, whether you want it or not, it's going digital. So learning how to do, maybe you should do like another perspective, do one show on Coinbase, and this is how you get on Coinbase, and this is how you work it, and this is how it is. Maybe we do a couple of Bitcoin 101 things, but the future is in the digital. The future, look at this. Yes, having houses, cars, pays put us in a much better position than peers. Yes, that's right. Yes, having houses and cars paid for puts
no
us
doubt.
in a much better position than our peers. Yes.
No doubt.
And if you're overextended right now, if you've got the McMansion and all your cars are in debt, there's still time to downsize. And I want to talk to you very clearly. One of the easiest ways I got wealthy was that I downsized, because it allowed me to take, instead of using all my money for rents and mortgages and things like that, to suddenly pop over here and make investments that made money that I could flip and do and things like that. That one simple step of downsizing and being fully paid off made it easier for me to create wealth. And at one point, when Robin and I assessed everything, we had 15,000 a month in mortgages. And we had 4 homes. So when we dropped everything and just went to this one home, then all of that money could then be invested. And you have to make a decision. Is your $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $10,000 mortgage worth it? And if you still have time right now, the market's still hot and high. If you sold it and you downsized and you could have a smaller mortgage, stop using debt as that way to, do that. I downsized, and I realized I actually quite like downsizing. I realized that I'm a cozy person, I like cozy things and cozy places and cozy. I do not need that. Hi, this is our 10,000 square foot home. Look at how great we are. Nope, don't need that anymore.
Yeah,
I don't know what this is, but she said the Chinese got it all. I'm not sure what it is. Tech? I'm not sure what part of that. I like this. I don't need a McMansion. Some people need it to feel good about themselves. I don't see a McMansion unless you have 12 kids.
Goodness sakes. 12. Then you've got a farm. Then you have to have a farm.
That's right.
MJ.
I like this. Unfortunately, China is at the precipice of a major food crisis due to the flooding of over 700,000 hectares of destroyed farmland and growing. The flooding is not stopping, and the flooding is also destroying their manufacturing plants. That's right. They're in worse shape now than they've ever been.
The rains are still coming. We're now deep into the monsoon, and everything's full. Everything is full. And then there's rumors about the stability of the dam, so we'll see where that plays out.
Yeah, if the dam breaks, and they believe it will, that is a true threat to global security.
Yep.
I mean, that's really something.
Yep.
I want to go here.
Global gross domestic product.
The Chinese got the bulk of the gold. That's what she was talking about. Thank you, MJ.
Yeah.
Had no idea. I knew they've been buying for a long time, right?
Yep. And because
they're going to need it.
Their goal ultimately was to back the yuan by gold. That was part of the agenda. And then this all blew up, and they realized, I don't know whether we can do that. Maybe it'll just go into the CCP, members, personal pockets. But
I mean, possibly.
We just don't know.
Listen, you guys, we're at the top of the hour, and I'm going to just keep going with a couple more, and then we'll, close this out in a little bit. It's tragic to see the devastation, because behind that are the millions of people counting on that food. Yes.
Yep.
I mean, when you look at it, this is major. If you look at it, it's 700,000 hectares of destroyed farmland. And I mean destroyed. It's not like it flooded this year and we can use it next year. I think it's like 150 years or something before that land recovers. China already knows that it's going to be in a famine.
Yep. And they've been aggressively buying what they can, over to Argentina, back
everywhere.
in the States, they're buying soybeans. They're trying to, but then the other thing is, where do you put it? These rivers are flooded. The silos are flooded. So we have a storage issue now that is becoming apparent. It's not a situation I'm glad I have to deal with. As a
Really.
manager, as a government over there, there's too many moving parts, and too many parts of their infrastructure are just missing in action right now. It's and then we're so dependent on them. And that's the one thing our president has done and is doing right now, is bringing back that manufacturing. It'll help our balance of trade, but if we even go through an aspect of automation, at least the supply chains will be close at home. That's at least a beginning step. It's probably 5 years later than it should have been, 10 years later than it should have been, but nonetheless, the process has begun. Got to go.
Have a good weekend, MJ.
Yep.
I want to talk about this right here. I had a McMansion, and we only used the bedrooms and the kitchen and the family room. The rest was wasted space. That's what most people don't know.
That you had to heat and cool.
Will this be on the replay? I just got on. Yes, it'll be on the replay. Nice to see you, though, Glinda. Nice to see you. Yeah, you can hashtag replay, because we're going to be done in a minute here. And I just want to say, you have to understand that money has changed, and it's going to continue to change. And we are going to do our best to help everyone that is watching, that knows. Just do, share what we are going to do, share what we're doing, share what we're all about. But here's what you have to know right now. You're either going to sink or swim based on what you do right now. And that's our show today. Scott, thank you always for being my friend and being my co-host on Fridays.
Everybody in these times needs an example. They need somebody to help show them the way. And this is the big thing when we're kind of in turbulent, unknown waters. Is there are people out there who have seen this coming for years.
That's correct.
This is not a surprise. This is not an unknown, and there are ways and guides through this. So just know that you're not alone in this process. The next 3 months are going to be tumultuous at best. Best. We've got an election pretty much 3 months down the road, and so a lot of things are going to happen between now and then. And it's best.
It's going to be the next 90 days is going to be really bumpy.
Yep.
We got to be constantly paying attention to yourselves. Yes, constantly doing that. Risa, the greater question is: are you ready? Are you preparing?
No one's truly ready.
Yeah. You think you do the best you can.
Yeah.
Do a daily practice of whatever you choose to remain grounded and calm. Take small steps and do something. Risa says, I'm lucky to be here. We have somebody coming on. Hey, Linda. Thank you so much for the show. I can't wait for your book to come out. It's going to be out soon. I wish I could show you the cover. Maybe by next Friday, we'll show you the cover. But I'll give you a hint. It starts with sink or swim. All right. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. Thanks for watching the show. Thank you for coming on. Monday's going to be a rocking day. We're going to have fun. And the guest we have next week. Oh, the guest. I think it's Joel Comm that is coming on.
Right,
I mean,
12th.
Yeah, it's the 12th. Joel Comm, world-class New York Times bestseller, a futurist, a speaker all over the world, the man that actually made me wealthy. You're going to meet the man that helped me get wealthy. And I can't wait till you meet him. He's so awesome. It's going to be such a great show. And we're going to talk about everything. I'll see you guys next week. Scott, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching the show. Mwah! We'll see you next week, guys. Bye.